Today, our guest is Matt Munguia. He'll be taking us through the anatomy of a $10,000 week, the math formula behind recreating that $10,000 week, and 15 ways to scale your sales. Thanks for being here, Matt. Let's jump in. So take me through that. And something that I'm kind of a math guy. I'm a numbers freak. If you talk to my wife, she'll make fun of me. She'll be like, what are you doing? I'll be like, I'm counting this or I'm adding this. And she's like, why are you doing that? And I'm just like, I don't know. I just need to know what the numbers are for this. And it's something I've always been fascinated by insurance is I really feel like depending on how much money you want to make, you can pretty much just break it down into a simple equation, right? Depending on...
Yeah, I mean... In fact, I made a video about this. I called it the anatomy of a $10,000 week.
Yeah,
you know? So
this
I
is it.
came off another $10,000
Break it down for me.
Yeah, I just come off with another $10,000 week, and I said, you know what? I've been hearing a lot of people asking, like, what does a $10,000 week entail? I said, all right, well, let me break it down. So $10,000 a week in final expense is I would work 45 direct mail leads a week. I never ordered more than 45. Every once in a while, I would also throw in some internet leads. I would average probably maybe 5 a week when I did average them. So some weeks I would get around 50 leads, 45 direct mail leads, and 5 internet leads. And then the majority of the weeks I would get 45 leads. And then you get carryovers too, because some people say that, look, call me next week. All right, so now you have one less lead this week and one more next week. But I was basically running 45 leads a week. I was running Monday through Friday, preferably. What I mean by that is if somebody said, look, I can only meet on the weekends. My appointment setter was my wife. So can he come out on Saturday or Sunday maybe? Is that possible? Well, my wife always knows to say yes. We don't turn any appointments down, okay? Too many agents are turning away appointments or changing times to meet their conveniences. So no. If you want to get out there and make the most of this, you got to work on their time. So anyway, Monday through Friday and Saturday and Sunday, if need be, I don't turn any appointments down, and I work from whenever to whenever. So if somebody, says, I can be here, but I gotta be at work at 8. So can he be here at 7 or 6:30? Well, guess what? That's when my day is going to start. And if that on that same day, if they said, look, can he be here at 8 o'clock because I don't get off till 7? Well, guess what? My first appointment's at 6:30. My last one, I'm going until 8. That's just the way it is. And I tried to always have 5 appointments a day, okay, Monday through Friday if possible. But some days I had 6 appointments. Some days I had 7 because my wife would set my schedule because she made the calls for me. She was my appointment setter. And this day she might have set up 6 appointments for me. And 2 people might have said, well, call me back later. And my wife calls back later and they said, well, I can meet tomorrow at 6 o'clock. And so my wife now she would pencil that in. Now I have 7 appointments for the next day. But I usually try to have at minimum during that time, during that 500,000 plus year, 5 appointments per day minimum.
So you were shooting for 25 appointments a week.
Minimum. Yep, absolutely. Now that's appointments. It doesn't mean I sat down with all of them. Okay.
Yeah, that's step 1 in the equation, right? Step 1 is the appointments. Yeah.
Now, out of those 20, let's just say it was a minimal week of 25, right? So out of those 25, 5 appointments a day, maybe 4 show up on Monday.
Right.
Maybe I only saw 3 people on Tuesday. Maybe I saw all 5 on Thursday. Maybe I saw 1 on Friday.
Right.
Who knows? You never know. But my appointment setter was my wife, which I trained her up. She's rock solid. So, we had more good days than bad. A lot of 4 out of 5 type of days.
My experience, even when I was setting my own appointments, I felt like I was setting usually about half the leads. If you really make sure you're chasing these people down, obviously tons of variables in that scenario, but I would say usually you're going to set about half your leads. And then the set to sit ratio that I typically saw, it was about 75%. So when you're saying you see 4 out of 5, I totally agree with you. And obviously I've had those days too where you set yourself a full schedule. You go out there and you're like, oh, this is going to be a great day. I've got 7 appointments on the books. You get home, you saw 1 person, you didn't close anything, so that's just how it is. Yeah, that fluctuates from day to day. So you got to kind of trust in those numbers. So tell me about your so how many presentations do you think you were averaging on a 25 appointment week?
Well, if we take a 25 appointment week, I'm definitely going to see on average at least 3 a day. So you're talking about minimum, 3 times 5, so at least 15. And some of those are going to be husband and wife. If I'm in front of you, I'm pretty good. I don't know. I don't know the exact number. My guess is that probably if I sit down with 10 people, I'm going to sell 70% of them, maybe 75% when you start adding in the husbands as well,
Right.
Two of them. The goal is always just get in front of them. Because if I can get in front of you, probably have a pretty good chance of being able to help you out with something. So, at least 15 actual sit downs. And I know for sure I was averaging right around 15 applications per week during that time. I did take a couple weeks off for vacations of trips that I won the previous year. And so, but I pretty much worked the entire year. I mean, I didn't stop.
If you told me you worked half a year and wrote 500,000, I'd say something's up there. But I would imagine.
No, I went course. I mean, I tell you how and why this all that year even came about. Yeah. This record year. It was like, I think October of 14, I think it was. I had gone and met somebody that, had a monster year previously. What's this guy doing? So went, met with him, saw his work ethic and his schedule. I mean, he would have 12 to 15 appointments in a day and just pop them off every 30 minutes. Pop. I'm like, how do you even do that? He's like, well, you're going to get no shows anyway. So it just, he would do that 2 or 3 days a week. And I said, wow. So basically, I never have had a problem of selling, right? Once I'm in front of you, but that's just work ethic. That's just drive, So, my mentality was, I just need to increase my lead order, increase my activity. I don't see why I couldn't do that either. I feel like I was just as sharp as the guy and knew just as much as the guy. That's not a knock on him. I'm just saying, what's the difference? And the difference is he was ordering a heck of a lot more leads than me, and he was working a heck of a lot more hours than me. So that's all I did. I implemented, I started ordering. I think it was like October or November that this happened. So I made it a goal to go crazy because I looked back and I was like, man, you know what? I think at the time I was on maybe 20, 25 leads. I said, I could be doing so much more, making so much more money. I need to step this thing up. I might have been in 25 or maybe 25 at the time. So anyway, long story short, I bumped that sucker up to 40, 45, maybe around December-ish is when those 45 started coming in and started getting the hang of the schedule and things like that. And my wife had to make more calls, obviously, and she had, more work ahead of her because she's calling on more leads and not door knocking as much either because we have so many appointments to work, And I said, wow, I think this thing's going to work out. And I just went full force for that entire year and busted my tail. Those are the two main factors that I did was just order more leads and which you order more leads, it leads to more activity. Because either that or you're spending that much on leads, you're going to end up going broke if you're not out there working.
Yeah, you're all in, right? Yeah, you're all in at that point. I think if we could sit here, me and you, and diagnose the last 10 final expense agents, or probably really any insurance agents, and the last 10 agents who failed out of the industry, chances are their activity levels weren't high enough. They weren't seeing enough people. They weren't buying enough leads. They weren't, and again, even if you don't buy leads, there's still stuff you can do. I mean, you can set up referral networks. You can knock doors. You can cold call your sign.
Seniors. Another way.
Senior centers, yeah. I mean, there's so much you can do. So I think it's even more basic than not buying leads. I think is great. I read an article the other day. It was talking about how lead generation is you're seeing agents and agencies, they're able to grow their book of business so much quicker by buying leads. But yeah, it's really as simple as activity. You have to have enough activity. So I want to go back really fast before we move on here, back to your numbers. So you're getting about 50 leads a week. Your minimum, we're setting hopefully 25 appointments, maybe more. You're making a minimum of 15 presentations, and we're hoping that leads to about 10 sales. And that would be 10 appointments sold. And there's, so you're probably writing a lot of couples in there, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, those are minimums. So, because I went back and I looked at some of the weeks, I keep those charts. When I make a sale, I'm old school, so I write everything paper and pen. I mean, I have all the papers from that year, and I went back and looked at a few weeks, and it was averaging 15 sales a week, 15 somewhere in there. Because I think I wrote over 700 applications that year, and I want to say it was closer to 750 mark. Because I did take a couple weeks off, so at least 700 applications though.
No, I think if you're saying 15 apps a week, I think that fits pretty perfect. So, if you're closing 10 appointments, maybe half of them are couples. Yeah, I mean, that totally sets you up for that $10,000 week. And then, just scaling from there, rinse and repeat, right? I mean, don't stop what you're doing. It seems silly to say that, but I talk to agents all the time, and it seems like, sometimes they'll let their foot off the gas. They have one good week and they're like, oh man, that was awesome. And then it's, I'm going to go do something else now, or they change their tactics. It's, don't stop what you're doing. If you're writing 10,000, 5,000, whatever it is, if you're seeing success like that, do not stop what you're doing. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah. See, but here's another thing that people don't realize. Most agents don't realize there's a lot more to that system, and then there's a lot more to that number as well. So in other words, if I go into a home and I only have 3 companies to choose from, and they have COPD, and I don't have any COPD carriers, I can only pitch them, a high-priced policy that has a 2-year waiting period. Well, that client might not be able to afford that or want a 2-year policy a waiting period. So they might tell you to go take a hike. No, let me think about it, type of thing. Whereas that same person, if you have all the right carriers at your disposal, like I do, I can get that person first day coverage. I can get them at a price that they probably want. So I'm making more sales just because I have more carriers to run with. Just like I'm making more sales than the average guy out there, because most lead companies are mailing income data income of 0 to 50,000 of income, right? Well, my leads have filters on them, income filters of 15 to 60,000. So I'm sitting in front of more qualified prospects that can afford what I have to offer. So I'm not wasting as much time. I'm weeding through and weeding those people out, rather, I should say. Right. So again, all of those little things make up a year of 500,000. And that also an appointment setter. My wife, she has a vested interest in me, right? Doing well. She gets more shoes and more jewelry if she makes more appointments, right? Am I making more sales? So again, all of that, all those little things that people don't think about, like she's an awesome appointment setter. I trained her up, and now she trains some of my appointment setters. But all those little things, so the quality of training too, you got to have a mentor that's been in the business, has been in the fire to help you out. Got to have the amount of carriers that you need. So instead of, Joe Blow agent that just walked out of that house, I walk in because, he was selling something for $80 with a 2-year waiting period. I go in there and say, look, man, it's $55 and it's immediate coverage. And that same person I make a sale to, and Joe Blow doesn't. All those little things add up. And we actually have a guy on the insurance squad right now that's on pace to possibly beat my record. Whoa. And all he does is implement the same strategy. So him and his wife actually came to San Antonio. He trained with me in the car for a couple of days, I think 2 or 3 days. And then his wife sat here in the room I'm sitting in right now while I'm talking to you. We call this the war room. This where my wife makes all my appointments for me. And his wife sat here with my wife for 2 or 3 days. So my wife trained her on the phone. He trained with me out in the field. After 2 or 3 days, they went back to their home and implemented the same strategies. He's on 50 leads a week. His wife has her script down now. He came and rode with me, and this guy's been in the field he's been in the business 8 years now. I mean, this is not his first rodeo, but first rodeo for final expense. It's a different system. He came from the mortgage protection market. And long story short, he's on, and he works his tail off, but he implemented the same strategy. He has the same amount of carriers as me. His appointment setters is his wife. You have to have your wife as your appointment setter. We have some good appointment setters here, but again, you have all those at your disposal, the amount of carriers, the amount of leads. So the whole system, it has to work. In order to hit a number like that, there's a lot of little things you have to have working.
I totally agree with you. And one thing you said earlier that I thought was awesome, when you're talking about keeping your schedule as open as possible to meet with these prospects. Yeah. I remember with, when I was selling mortgage protection, I kind of the same idea. I had the same kind of realization where if I can meet these people, whenever they're willing to meet me, whereas there's all those other lazy agents out there who they're wanting to work Monday through Friday. They want to be home by whatever it is, right? Where they're keeping their schedules closed. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but when you're willing to keep your schedule open, like I remember specifically, there was one gentleman, he's like, I can only meet Sunday morning. He's like, I'm only available Sunday morning. I'm not available anytime rest of the week. And I said, fine. I was like, I'm happy to sit down with you, and I ended up writing a deal out there because the other agents who had contacted him, they weren't willing to meet with him on Sunday, So, little things.
Goes, you're willing to do things that other agents aren't.
That's it. That's it. Driving a little further. That's all these little things, like you said, driving a little further maybe than most agents would. Meeting with people at different times or different days when most agents wouldn't, buying more leads while most agents won't do that. All those little things. You're totally right. It all adds up. It's a total trickle down theory. The more things you're doing that others aren't going to do, you're going to start reaping the rewards. I totally believe that. So you got your wife setting appointments, which I think is brilliant. I went through 3 different appointment setters, and I feel like I had success on different levels with all of them. The problem is, when you're spending money on leads and they're not financially invested in those leads, I feel like there can be a big miss as far as quality of appointments or amount of appointments. That's where I think you hit the home run with having your wife as your appointment setter, is she's financially invested in those leads just as much as you are. She totally understands that concept.
When I came into Final Expense, I was trained by somebody that, just worked a totally different system. So I started off this business door knocking 100% of my leads. I said, it's not that door knocking is bad. It's just that it's just not efficient. There's no way you're going to write 500,000 door knocking. It ain't going to happen. I don't care who you are. I don't care what year it is. It's not going to happen, right? So I said, man, there's got to be a more efficient way to do this thing. Actually, my wife was working at the time. And anyway, I said, man, it seems like when I get in front of somebody, I can make the sale, but, for years and years and years, I made calls. I made my own appointments, my own calls. And I said, I told my wife, I said, look, I think we can make this work. You can quit your job and just set appointments for me. It won't take but an hour or 2 per day, I wouldn't think. This is all unknown stuff, right? I mean, we're just kind of guessing the plane here. You got to understand, I've been door knocking my entire life or setting my own appointments. So long story short, she, that's what happened. I mean, she quit a job that she was making some decent coin at, and we took that risk and we took that leap of faith and jump, and it turned out beautifully for us. I mean, we were just hoping to maybe minimize her not getting crushed so much by her leaving her job. As it worked out, we made above and beyond, awesome. What she lost at her 9 to 5 or whatever.
Really fast, if off the top of your head, what is the script that you typically use, whether you're setting appointments yourself or if you're having your wife set appointments? What do you guys typically say on the phone for that? I think that might be...
It's nothing special, and to be honest, since my wife's been calling for me for years right now, I wouldn't even hardly know how to begin the script, but it's got to be the most basic of scripts that anybody says, like, hey, Mrs. Jones, we have you sent in this card, it looks like here your age is whatever, 67, and your husband's 64. Well, do I have the licensed agent in your area going to be there tomorrow to get that information out to you? It'll take about 5 to 7 minutes, and let you know what your options are since you do qualify for this. When would be a good time for him to swing on out there and get this information to you? That's something simple, basic. There's really no magic button on that kind of stuff, and that's just me recalling years ago, or what I used to say, somewhere to to that effect. If they told me I had to start calling again tomorrow, I'd have to go back and look at my old videos and see what I actually said.
Right.
No, and I'd be just fine.
I think, well, just one thing I wanted to hit on there. I mean, just keeping it simple. When I was trained as a mortgage protection agent, I was trained to do a lot more qualifying on the phone. And I almost kind of cringe thinking back now because, the appointment setting script that I recommend to agents and the one that as a final expense agent that I would use, just really brief and to the point. I mean, if you're trying to sell face-to-face, I personally don't see the value in doing a bunch of qualification for an appointment. Most of these people, once you sit down with them, once you get in front of them, you can qualify them as much as you want. And then if you're trying to get paid by writing an application face-to-face, you can't do that over the phone. Now, if you're trying to sell over the phone, that's a completely different story to be had. But yeah, I mean, so I always recommend just something really brief. Hey,
the KISS method, right?
Yeah.
Keep it simple, stupid. I mean, too many agents, especially mortgage protection agents that come over, they're taught to, get so much information over the phone. Well, you can't do that in final expense. Your job is just to get in front of them. Once you're in front of them, it's showtime. It's game time.
That's right.
Now you can ask whatever questions you need to. The good part about final expense is that, between the ages of 25 and 85, we have a product. I don't care how beat up you are. We pretty much have something for you. I mean, we have Columbia. Columbia has their guaranteed issue starting at age 25, and AIG's up to age 85. So 25 to 85. So you don't need to know that kind of information immediately. You need to know if they're between those ages. You probably have a product for them, no matter what their health is like. So it's about getting in front of them.
Yeah.
Right. That's the ultimate goal. Once you're in front of them, now it's you work your magic and you do your thing.
No, I totally agree. We touched on this earlier, client tracking. So you're telling me you wrote over 700 applications. I mean, that's a ton of paper, a ton of just people to track in general. You're probably getting phone calls. I mean, what were you doing to kind of track these people?
Old school stuff. Again, I'm archaic when it comes to that stuff, but everything was done pen and paper. Each time I would write an app that when the day's over, come in and I, get everything faxed off. And then I log everything in a binder that I have, so I'll write the day that I wrote the application. Let's just say January 1st, 2015. And then I would write the day that the withdrawal is going to be. So say February 1st, 2015. And then I would write the client's name and then the company I sold and then how much the premium was. And that's all done by paper, So that's how I tracked everything, and I have cabinets filled in my garage. It's quite enormous and quite annoying, to be honest. I mean, I have to have like a big portion of my garage, two-car garage. One whole car could fit in the amount of people that have been here and seen it.
That's
just
crazy.
The cabinets. So good part about this is that there's an app coming out that's going to help with all this kind of stuff. I'm actually beta testing it right now. It's called MyMo Pro.
Oh yeah.
MY. Yeah, it's short for My Mobile Office Professional. So MyMo Pro. So MyMo Pro. Anyway, and it's actually going to launch here in the next 10 days or so is what they said. But anyway, I'm in beta testing for it. And it's specifically designed for life and health agents, just like us, to keep track of these types of things. So I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff in it. I just worry about selling. But there's nothing like it in the industry. I mean, it's pretty awesome. It has a built-in CRM, so there'll be no more writing stuff down. I had another CRM system, that I also use. So I would implement this into with writing. Then I would implement it into my CRM. Well, this is going to have all that stuff in it. It's going to have CRM. It's going to have built-in lead router, so you can input all your leads into this, and it'll route the most efficient way. So if you're a door knocker or whatever, it's going to do all that kind of stuff to make it efficient. If you're door knocking or running appointments, allows you to upload your leads into the app. You can even put a picture. Here's the coolest thing. Well, I thought I was dealing with it the other day. You could put a client's picture, because I like to take pictures with my clients, like
Right.
Whoever I helped out, I take a picture of them. Well, now you can take a picture of them up and upload that onto their lead card that's into this app type thing. When the number pops up or you call them, you can their face pops up also, so you can know who your client is. So when you're talking to them, you know who you're talking to, because as you know, we have thousands of clients.
Yeah.
And, you don't know who in the world you're talking to a lot of times.
I've heard some about this app. I've poked around with it a little bit. I'm fellow beta testing as well. It seems like it could be a game changer. I mean, similar to what you mentioned with your $500,000 a year. When I'm writing mortgage protection, or even when I was writing final expense, my method of tracking or sorting my leads, I would have basically different folders marked per county. And it was like one side was like closed leads or appointment leads, and then the other side was just leads that hadn't been contacted yet. And I'm just, based on the county I'm in, I'm working with that folder. I mean, it really was a nightmare. So, I mean, this looks like it could be really big for health and life agents. I mean, I was talking to Clue from Radius Bob, and when you're talking about a CRM, whether you're using a free CRM system or a paid system like MyMo Pro or Radius Bob, if you get one more sale per year because you're more efficient at tracking, it's going to pay for itself. So, I mean, when you think about it like that, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, be more efficient, stay more organized, you're going to make more sales. Just like what we talked about earlier when you said, I'm doing all these little things that are adding up. Tracking your clients. Yeah, it's just another one of those little things.
Same thing. And I'm doing the same thing right now. I'm paying for Radius Bob. My subscription there, I think, is $15 or $20. I'm paying for FEX Quotes. That's another $15, $20. But it totals to about, I think I'm paying around close to $80 with all the little apps that I'm using right now. So that's another thing about this MyMo Pro app. Is going to have a quote engine too. So it's going to have that quoter built in there. So I said, well, if I can consolidate everything and have everything into one, I'm actually saving money. I don't know how much they're going to put this thing out for. Hopefully it's going to be nice, but it should save me money because I'm paying about $80-something a month right now on all these different applications. And now I can just have it in one. And again, be more efficient with my stuff and have it all at my fingertips, because it's be on your phone and tablet and anything else.
Yeah, no, and this kind of leads into my final question. Future of final expense, any trends that you're seeing in the industry, just to kind of wrap this thing up. What do you see the future holds for final expense? Anything as a producer, someone who owns a final expense agency? What kind of things are you seeing that could be coming up or changing for agents?
Going to get a little more competitive over time, because right now final expense is a hot ticket, kind of like mortgage protection was a while back. So it'll be more competitive. So it's super important to get with the right organization to begin with and get a mentor, somebody that knows that they've been through the final expense battlefield. They know what they're doing. That's unfortunately, that's one of the biggest mistakes. It's not so much a mistake. They just don't know any better. You don't know what you don't know. Like me, when I first started, I didn't know who to reach out to or where to go, where to turn, So I ended up combining.
That 55% contract probably looked pretty good. I started on 60 points, man. So trust me, I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying. Getting hooked up with someone who knows what they're doing. I mean, that's important.
Somebody that has a system in place, they know what they're doing, they can help you, guide you, they have all the tools that you'll need in order to be successful. And then the rest is up to you, your work ethic, your drive. But I think the industry is going to be strong for a while. I mean, the baby boomers are not going anywhere. I mean, at least 10 more years where it's just all the baby boomers are still driving this industry, right? So I think it's going to be strong for a good while, and I'm just going to ride the wave.
No, I actually, and this kind of segues too, the book that I co-authored and put out, How to Qualify, Present, and Sell Final Expense and Medicare Supplements to Seniors. That was something that we talk about a lot. I mean, you've got 10,000 people turning 65 every day. That's continuing for about 10 to 15 years. And then, you also have insurance agents who are going to be retiring. So you have more seniors coming into the market. You have, more agents leaving the market. So I really think it's a perfect storm for anybody listening who wants to get involved in the senior insurance market. I think it's a slam dunk. I really do. Whether it's you're selling final expense, Medicare supplements, whatever it is you're wanting to get involved with, I think there's just going to be a lot of opportunity for the next decade, at least. And that actually I almost forgot. So one thing I wanted to mention too, so staying on track and staying motivated. This is chapter 10 in our book. And we quoted you. Our book, we actually surveyed hundreds of agents. We only took the top 30% of surveys we received as far as their sales process and what they're doing. And Matt, you were kind enough to take one of our surveys, so appreciate that. But yeah, in chapter 10, we have you quoted for staying on track and staying motivated. Carrier trips. Travel is my family's favorite thing to do. That's enough incentive to keep me going. And I noticed on your website, you have these awesome pictures of you traveling all around the world with you and your wife. I think there's one, you riding an elephant. It just looks like you're having the time of your life. I mean, I've done some world traveling too, and I totally agree. It's so much fun, especially when you can do it with a loved one. Take me through that really fast too before we get out of here. Staying motivated is huge. And if you're writing 10,000 a week and you're doing it for a year straight like you did, I mean, you really got to stay on track and stay motivated.
For me, that's always travel is one of the, my favorite things to do. So you got to find what motivates you. Some people are motivated by money. Okay, they can have a money goal. Some are motivated by travel, whatever it is. You got to have goals. And for me, goals were a lot of times trips, so all right. So if I want to win a trip to Hawaii, like let's just take the Trinity trip, for instance, this year's coming up to Hawaii or to Ireland from Mutual of Omaha, then set out that goal. But goals are super important because when you have those bad days, when you have all those no's in a row, that's what keeps you fighting for your goal. And trips are the reward for that, so it's the reward for all your hard work that you put in for a solid year. And it's like, it keeps you on track. It keeps you motivated and active and gives you something to shoot for, when you do have those down days or down weeks, because this business is a roller coaster and sometimes it's hard. So, for me, it was always trips. If I want to go to, I've been to a lot of places, but, to Bangkok, Thailand, because a company's going there. Well, then I put that on track, so if it takes 70,000 to win it, I break it down. How much is that per month? Okay. It's going to be, I don't know, 6,000 per month. Okay. And then break it down per week. Okay. I need to do, 12 or 1,500 because some of it will fall off. A little bit will fall off.
Right.
My persistence has always been 90% or better typically. But so you got to account for all that kind of stuff. So, okay, well, I need to write 1,500 per week with this company and I get to go to Thailand. How cool is that? And 1,500 a week with one company is not that hard, So, I mean, they make these trips pretty darn easy to win as long as you're getting in front of a lot of people. And whether that means you need to buy leads or whatever, or do more senior centers or whatever, you need to get in front of more people. That's your tracker right there. And that's another thing that MyMo Pro has, which I think is pretty cool, is a tracking system. It's a goal tracker, so it'll keep you in line. But yeah, you got to have goals and something to shoot for. And trips has always been my incentive to work hard.
Yeah, tell me, you have any carrier trips you're going on this year? You won last year?
Yes, we are leaving in about a month and a half to an Alaskan cruise.
Oh, man.
The unfortunate part is I won another trip, and it's going to the same darn place on another Alaskan cruise.
That's
good problems to have, yeah. But it's unfortunate. It's 3 different carrier trips all going to Alaska this year.
Wow.
So that's no fun. It's all
someone
with it, but it looks like the won a trip, just about to win, or just won a trip to Hawaii also. But that's coming up in 2018, and I'm on track for some other ones too. So things are going good here. I think the big thing is the industry's good. Get with the right people at the right time, with the right systems, and with the right carriers. right leads, then everything can work out, you know?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think this was a really good breakdown of, you know, how to scale the business, how to take advantage of putting a system in place, adhering to that system, and reaping the reward. I think you had a really great system in place, and you were doing things that a lot of other agents weren't willing to do.
Well, listen.